I am the Namer, guardian of the names of power. Before your world even existed, my people were an ancient race. Now they are gone, and only I remain, keeper of my people's history. Across the endless tracts of space have I traveled, to return to the planet of my birth, Zoidstar. Though my people perished long ago, and their cities were buried by the shifting sands, the machines remain. It is these that have brought me here to perform the last act of the Zoidarian race, the giving of the names of power. When my race was young and had an interest in the affairs of the galaxy, they built the machines, mighty engines of destruction which gave the power of life and death over the other creatures in the galaxy. The Zoidarians turned their gaze outward and laid waste to 1,000 star systems with their machines, their Zoids. But ruling a galaxy was not enough for the Zoidarians. It was not the conquests, but the battles they enjoyed. And though all intelligent life trembled in the shadow of the Zoids, my people battled on, machine against machine, Zoidarian against Zoidarian, in the further pursuit of glory. Zoidarian lives were needlessly sacrificed to the god of battle, and the race dwindled in numbers until the elders outlawed the Zoid duels. But they couldn't outlaw the Zoidarian love of combat. The Zoidarian pilots of the giant war machines were replaced by androids, and thus the heroic combat could continue without threat to Zoidarian life. Too late came the order. Too late to save a once mighty race from extinction, and now only I remain. Only I and the Zoids. And though my people created the Zoids, I have no power to control them. For the war machines have become the living embodiment of the Zoidarian thirst for combat, with lives and wills of their own. They exist only to fight, to ensure that their heroic combat lasts for all eternity. Now I stand on the sand-blasted surface of a world I used to call home, high on a rock, scanning the horizon for some sign of movement, knowing that out there, behind the sand clouds, lurk the deadliest war machines in the universe. Ah! It begins!
Skies above, a red and silver metal machine dove, with rockets and missiles that steel Zoid soars. Red Puterasu joins the Nebas wars, and then together they should come that Zoid machine. Red Puterasu steel Puterasu sheen, swooping down with rocket, for he descends. Puterasu brings Republic Zoid ends. Red Puterasu, you tell so flies. Red Puterasu, and the Zoid of the skies. Red Puterasu, and silver steel fly. Red Puterasu, make Republic Zoids die. Puterasu, steel Puterasu flies. Red Puterasu, and the Zoid of the skies. Red Puterasu, and silver steel fly. Red Puterasu, make Republic Zoids die. A planetary republic fights empire. Central continent engulfed in warfire. War machines on both sides clash for Zoid glory. Red Puterasu swoops in combat story. Dominion of the skies to the empire. Red Puterasu, air supremacy fire. Glowing red eyes with steel warfare spirit. The combat Zoid Pterasaur will not quit. number sword of the skies. Red Puterasu and silver steel fly. Red Puterasu in Republic Zoids die. Changes, science grows. Superior combat, Zoids power flows. Red Puterasu crush Republic might. Seize the air, Red Puterasu take flight. Red Puterasu, feel pterosaur flies. Red Puterasu, the sword of the skies. Red Puterasu, silver steel fly.
But the ways of destiny are strange indeed. Though it seems as though the Zoids must battle among themselves for all eternity, fate provides them with an escape in the shape of their deadliest foes, the Red Zoids. I remember how I, the Nema, last of the Zoidarians, stood witness over the birth of the Red Zoids. I was returning to Zoidstar. The Zoids under my command were in need of repairs and fuel. We never completed our journey. Our ship made a forced landing on Zoidstar's blue moon. I nearly perished in the crash. The blue moon was a world vastly different to Zoidstar. Cold, airless, uninhabited. To survive, the Zoids changed. Where the first Zoids were cold creatures of metal, the Zoids of the blue moon became adapted to their new environment. Their bodies now generated heat. Their blue shells became red, and these Zoids did not battle among themselves, but cast around in search of others to turn into creatures like themselves. Thus they became Red Zoids, terrible metal monsters whose only driving force was the defeat of the blue Zoids and the destruction of all life in the galaxy.
Cool mechanical pterosaurs fly high. Forged in red of silver steel to Zoidstar sky. Loyal to the terrible one, Zark from cyborg fury under the sun. The glowing red eyes and silver androids control. Zarks are corrupted, red mutants in all. Mighty steel wings beat the skies of Zoidstar as the red Zoids descend with rage from afar. No rage. Zark's mighty mutant monster machine age. Zark's burning summer hatred for blue Zoids as the red Zoids descend with rage from afar. Zark's like Zoid parasaurs with techno rage. Zark's mighty mutant monster machine age. Burning cyber hatred for blue Zoids. Zark through the red and silver Zoid androids. Sworn to red horn, the Zarks died down to fight. Seething with blue Zoid hate, with red Zoid might. All must convert or perish on Zoidstar, scattered on the sands or buried in tar. But now Clark comes to promise great glory. Zoids of both red and blue swayed by his story. Zark brought to the Prince of Darkness to serve. Crossly united Zoids ahead of the curve. Zark's red Zoid parasaurs with techno rage. Zark's mighty mutant monster machine age. Burning cyber hatred for blue Zoids. Zark through the red and silver Zoid androids. The black Zoid threatens all on Zoidstar pain. But Croc and his Zoids bring united pain. Falling into the falls, undone.
It is the never-ending battle between red and blue Zoids. It has been waged for centuries. It rages still, with no end in sight.
I, the Namer, last of the Zoidarians, guardian of the names of power, keeper of the legend of heroic combat, have spoken.